What's up guys, my name is JDCook5 and welcome back to another episode of the F1 My Team series. I was talking about last episode about replacing my teammate, and I feel like I'm going to go through with it now. Liam Lawson hasn't been the best this season, not even really doing well in the practice or qualifying sessions also. He's crashed once and I just don't feel like he is right for the team. I feel like I've got some more money behind me now, 6 million, and I'm going to go with the experienced Felipe Massa, hoping he can maybe edge his way into the points. I'm not expecting it straight away, don't get me wrong, but hoping he can maybe get us some points and hoping we can get a better kind of constructor point in that way, because if you look at the actual constructor standings, we're not going to go past Ferrari, I don't think, unless we're winning every race. But I would like to get some more points on the board and not just myself achieving the points also. We've got the Hungarian Grand Prix, but before we do that, we'll auto fill our activities and then look about doing some upgrades to the car with the aerodynamics also. So in Hungary, we've got the wet qualifying, but a dry race, and we've got dry practice sessions also. So we're going to get straight into things with the practice sessions and see what unfolds. A really tricky circuit, and one that hasn't been the best over the years, and has only been come to light where we have to have the different battles, and the track has been a bit better also. As we go into the practice session, we're going to be doing the ERS management. There's a lot of corners that it involves. It's not the fastest of the track that we have got on the calendar. It's definitely a trickier one out of the many, but it's still a fast one. It is still an interesting one also, and anything could happen. I didn't do too many practice programs, but got enough R&D. As you see on the speed track, we're not the fastest, so we need to look at the straight speed, especially in this circuit. Another setup done for this one to be able to acclimatise the car as much as possible and see what we can do on some of these programs. ERS we're normally quite strong at. I don't even bother using the ERS. We can just see where we get on the points. We're getting DRS as well also, bearing in mind, so I feel like the car is fast enough to be able to complete the program and get the optimal on the first lap. Purple Sector 1, I'm not too sure, is it because I'm the first one out, or we actually are going to be faster at this time round in practice, but we seem to be putting a decent bit of time on the Delta. This part of the track can be really tricky, and you have to go fairly slow within these few sectors, and honestly, a real tight chicane, and you can't really put your foot on the accelerator much, as you have to brake on this corner, and then you've got a little bit of the time where you have got a decent bit of pace going through. But even then, you can only get up to 6th gear now as you go down the hill, and this is probably one of the longer straights out of the many on this circuit, getting up to gear 7 then, as you look to complete the final few corners where we're going to be completing this lap. Not many practice sessions needed to be done, just a few to get ourselves used to the track and get some R&D also. As we go around the final corner, as we try and get as much speed as possible on the DRS also and over the checkered line. Really well done on the completion of the practice program, but not many laps done. As you can see, P9, Felipe Massa in P11 are probably best that we've ever seen for one of our teammates in one of the practice sessions. 3 drivers not actually going out. Gasly, Perez and Russell, for whatever reason, didn't do anything in practice 1. Interesting to see if that's a glitch or if that's an actual thing. But here we go then, a wet qualifying. I'm not really expecting much also. I'm hoping that it's going to be on the intermediate tyre, but we're going to have to wait 2 minutes because there is a problem, and there is one of the valves that is leaking on the car. As we look to complete some laps, so it doesn't seem to be that we are doing well in the wet whatsoever. I mean, P7 as of the moment. I couldn't get on the power as much as I wanted to, and I felt like I had to go earlier on in the brakes and counteract how much kind of water was on the actual corners. You know, when you go on a corner and you literally go full accelerate to be able to try and get as much out the exit, I feel like I was taking my time to be able to put my foot on the accelerator and get round the track. We seem to be doing better after a few laps though. I don't know if we're getting a better line as many other people are going on the circuit. It is absolutely kind of belting it down, in all honesty. And I'm surprised it's not on wet because the circuit looks completely buggered. We have to cut the corner there, getting a warning, but there was nothing I could do. I just couldn't get on the brakes as early as possible to be able to actually go around that corner properly. We're still doing alright though, 400 per second. It's going to be interesting to see where we actually do end up. P7 as I say as of the moment, but I don't think we're going to get anywhere near the top. No purple sectors or anything as we go through sector 3, and we haven't got many corners left on this lap, and it'll be interesting to see where we do fall out onto B. I mean, this is probably going to be the best lap that we are actually going to get under our belt, as we're not using as much overtake due to the fact that it is raining, so the car has lasted longer in terms of not having to pit. And as we go around this final bit of corner, no DRS whatsoever because we are in the wet, and we're going to go over the line, and it's going to be P3, which was only hundredths of a second off of P1. Unbelievable stuff, in all honesty. Me saying that we weren't near the top, but then we actually were competing with the big boys, so fair enough. P3 for us, and unfortunately a bad session for Felipe Massa, probably because of the wet, in all honesty, because he did actually have a decent practice session, so interesting to see what he'll do in the race.
Once again for another round of Formula One action. Historically, a good race for first-time victories, with Button, Hill, Alonso and Heikki Kovalainen all reaching the top step of the podium for the very first time right here. We're northeast of Budapest for today's race at the 2.7-mile Hungaro Ring circuit. 14 corners here, 8 to the right and 6 to the left, on a track where downforce is king and passing is notoriously difficult. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And the smooth operator Carlos Sainz completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Cook, Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, Perez, Verstappen, Norris, Russell, Ocon, Bottas, Stroll, Magnussen, Albon, Gasly, Oscar Piastri, Hulkenberg, Tsunoda, Joe, Massa, De Vries and Logan Sargent. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. Natalie Pinkham joins me once again in the commentary box. It's fantastic to have you with us today. I'm curious though, how do you think the drivers stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, the regulations aren't new anymore, but the teams and the drivers are still coming to terms with them. I firmly believe it's also track specific. We've seen some wheel-to-wheel racing throughout the year. Some tracks lend themselves better to it than others. I'd like to see it at every race in the whole season. Is that too much to ask?
Here we are then, we're on the grid P3 as we wait for the lights to go out. Full maximum revs, overtake on, and it is going to be lights out and away we go. Leclerc making a really slow start, and we're going to get straight past Charles Leclerc. Poor start being made as he goes down the path, and we have now got Carlos Sainz in front of us. We are slotting ourselves into P2. Terrible start by Charles Leclerc as he's gone into P5, and we're battling with Fernando Alonso. The Aston Martin machine, he drops back into fourth though, with Lewis Hamilton getting past. What an unbelievable start and a complete change in the positions as we now go down the hill to try and get a bit of time and wear on these tyres. As now as we see Carlos Sainz in front of us, 500 of a second splits us and the Ferrari, and a decent gap behind us, 400 of a second, so it's Alonso's kind of dropped back a fair amount as he was battling on that first corner, but it seems to be that Mercedes machine of Lewis Hamilton has tucked behind into P3. Lap 2 of 25 then, and Carlos Sainz has made a decent gap in front of us as we now go down the hill. Lewis Hamilton behind Fernando Alonso and Charles Leclerc making up the top 5 as we look to see if we can gain any time on Carlos Sainz. I'm not too sure if the Ferrari engine is going to be too fast for us, in all honesty. It'll be interesting to see where we come out, and it's going to be a hard one, in all honesty. 1.2 seconds, yeah, so he has made a decent bit of time on us already. The softer tyre has warmed up, but if we can kind of gain that amount to a second and get DRS, we might see the actual lap times getting a little bit better, and hoping to try and gain as much time on possible. We are really slow through that sector of the track, and I'm really struggling with those set of corners, the car not being able to go through them as fast as I would like, but we have gained a decent bit of time between ourselves and Lewis Hamilton. Don't forget he's always going to get DRS on us also as we go over that checkered line. As we meet these few final corners then as we go down here, and it is a weird section, and to be honest it's a weird track with how the corners are displayed, but yeah, it's definitely about being precise with your corners. 1.6 seconds between myself and Carlos Sainz. Greened sectors in all honesty, so it has been a better lap for us, don't get me wrong. Carlos Sainz getting the fastest lap also. We're not too far off, only 200 of a second. DRS enabled now, so it's going to be interesting to see what time is gained in front and behind us. Lewis Hamilton still third with Fernando Alonso and Charles Leclerc making up the top 5. As we go down the hill, it's a really fast bit of the track as we go late onto the brakes to try and get as better exit as possible. Resume racing, so something happened in Sector 1 as we wait to see if anything pops up on screen. Not too sure if anything has collided or a mechanical failure. Sector 1 will be getting a purple sector also. Alexander Albon, there we go. The Williams machine is out of the race as we see here now on our screens. He's going completely... I don't even know what happens there in all honesty. He goes down the hill and the engine just completely goes. And he's lucky to have no collision because that is a fast bit of the track and there's going to be people right on him also. There's a lot of people pass him on that section of the track. And then the puffs of smoke will only fall out of the Williams machine. Lap 4 of 25 then, as you can see, we are going past the broken down machine of Alexander Albon as there's still caution. A really dodgy part of the section, honestly. I am surprised, that there was no virtual safety car, so a bit of a strange one, but green sector 1, and we are still behind Carlos Sainz, 1.1 seconds, so we have still got a decent gap there, and we are going to try and gain as much time as possible to be able to get DRS at the end of the circuit. Lewis Hamilton 700 he has now got the fastest lap also, so he is definitely running a good race with Fernando Alonso and Charles Leclerc still making up the top 5. A little bit of a split distance between Alonso and Lewis Hamilton, with himself and Charles Leclerc having a decent battle between the two. As we go down the hill, you can see the time is differentiating between a second and 900ths of a second, so it'll be interesting to see if we do get DRS on this point. I don't think we do. I think we are literally the tiniest bit off, in all honesty. There are such fine margins between myself and the Ferrari engine of Carlos Sainz now. Yeah, we're not going to get DRS. We have got a decent lap done though. That is a decent lap compared to our fastest, so not far off whatsoever. As we now see to if we can kind of gain some slipstream maybe. We're not going to get DRS, but we have controlled the car well, in all honesty, on that one. Nearly kind of going out onto the wall as we try and maintain this car. And Lewis Hamilton has gained some time on us. As you can see, he's right on me. And I have lost some time, and lost some time in front of me also, with the battle seeming to be between myself and Lewis Hamilton and not Carlos Sainz now. As you can see, we have trying to gain back a bit more time now, trying to be a bit better in terms of some of the corners, but and then the tyres are not really doing that well also because they're on about 30%, so we are looking to be able to try and pit soon as well. These tyres aren't going to last for much longer. We are going to get DRS though, so we have made up some time, even though we lost some on the start of this lap. We have actually done so much better. Lap 9 of 25 going into lap 10 of 25. 15 laps to go as we look to edge on the pit window. Lewis Hamilton is trying to see if he can get anywhere near us, but he can't. We are right on Carlos Sainz now, the closest that we have ever been in this Grand Prix as we get DRS on this straight also. Don't know if we can go late on the brakes. We're going to actually try it and go for it. Collision being made, and we have seen a bit of our front wing go off of the car. A bit of a dodgy one. I'm surprised we didn't get a collision being put up with the FIA, but we are through as we check the vehicle. Also, yeah, a bit damage to the front wing. So we have actually kind of done a bit of a bad one in that way. We should have been a bit more patient, and now we're going to have to suffer the consequences as the aerodynamics in this car is definitely not going to be much better now. I mean, we are going to struggle through these corners, especially as Carlos Sainz is right behind us. We might bunch the pack up a little bit. You might see a bit of a difference between Lewis Hamilton and Carlos Sainz having a bit of a battle, as Lewis Hamilton will get DRS also, so it'll be interesting to see. Fernando Alonso 1.2, Leclerc 1.7, so the gap has definitely kind of got a little bit smaller as now I am in this position and holding up the people behind me. Going to do it as much as possible though, as Carlos Sainz is going to take a look as he tries to go late onto the brakes in that corner. He isn't going to get that kind of inside line as we look to see now the full race update and what is going on in this circuit. Sainz is right behind me, as they say, and the gap is less than a second. It's pretty much nothing. As we look at the pit window, lap 11 is going to be, we're making sure that they're not going to change our front wing for when we do go in on this circuit. Carlos Sainz going right on me there. He nearly collided, in all honesty. A complete dodgy manoeuvre as we try and hold the car as best as possible through the corner. And down the hill we go. We're going to get Carlos Sainz getting DRS. Lewis Hamilton's going to take a look also. This is turning into be an absolute crazy Grand Prix in Hungary, and I don't know what's going to happen next, in all honesty. It'll be interesting to see if anything unfolds, and yes it does. Red flag, and we don't actually have to pit, that means. Unbelievable stuff. I'm not too sure what's happened. We're going to see in a second as we pan back to the replay, and a red flag session has stopped. As you can see on the screens now, we are on board with Nyck de Vries, and he just completely spins out, and there we go. Someone familiar just for us there. Felipe Massa getting held up, and Nyck de Vries wasn't able to get the spin round. A really strange kind of crash. I can't even know if he wouldn't say that he was in a crash. He didn't collide with anything whatsoever. It was more the fact that he just spun out and he completely lost the tyres. Maybe the grip wasn't there whatsoever. But now this is going to be interesting. So we're going to be on the media set of tyres. Obviously we have to be. We can't go back onto softs or anything else like that. We are now going to be starting at the front of the Grand Prix for the first time that we have ever done in this save. And now we're going to confirm this race strategy, and we're going to get back into things. I didn't think I was going to be saying this, but we're going to be waiting for the 5 lights to go out. Lap 13 and 25. Lights out, and away we go then. And we have got an unbelievable start. Carlos Sainz pretty much going neck and neck with us, though. And it looks to be that we're going to go into the corner in P1 as Carlos Sainz is battling out Charles Leclerc, making a better start compared to the first bit of the Grand Prix. And he is into P4. Actually, P3 now. He's overtaken Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton not liking that whatsoever as they battle between the two, as they look to try and see if they can cement a position in this Grand Prix. And we're into P1. Unbelievable kind of untold events that has happened. And we are looking so much better. So the front wing would have been fixed. We've got new tyres. This has worked out so well in our favour. Unfortunately for our teammates, it's not going to be the best first race for Felipe Massa. But we're not too fussed because we are P1 for the first time in this kind of whole save, this Grand Prix, anything. This has been unbelievable. We haven't led the pack at all. We've been nowhere near, in all honesty, and this has definitely helped us with the red flag and everything that has happened in this Grand Prix. If we look to complete the first lap from the restart, lap 13 of 25, going on to lap 14 of 25, be interested to see if we can hold our nerve and get over the line in P1. You can see how fast we're going on this medium set tyres. We actually did get a purple sector 3. Be interesting to see where we turn out on sector 1, as Carlos Sainz is actually going to take a look on a strange bit of the circuit, and we actually do collide with one of our wheels with Carlos Sainz, but through we go. What a weird place to overtake, not giving me any space whatsoever. An unlikely manoeuvre being made by the AI, and an interesting one at that, as he does lose some time and he has to suffer the consequences from that one. Lucky that we didn't get a puncture through that or any damage to the car as we look to complete lap 14 of 25. And as you can see, we've now created a gap between Carlos Sainz and myself. DRS enabled, and we do get a purple sector 3 there also. So we're definitely fast at the end part of the track as we look to go down the hill now and complete as many laps as we can in this position. We're still holding our own as we complete these final few corners before lap 15 of 25 is over. 9 laps to go after we do go over the checkered line, and I do not know what's going to happen, but I'm liking what's happening at the moment. Lewis Hamilton still remaining in 3rd as Charles Leclerc is 4th, but as you can see, Max Verstappen is 5th. That's not going to worry us too much. We do get fastest lap for pretty much 5 seconds if you're lucky, as George Russell in the Mercedes has now got fastest lap. I don't know where he is on the circuit, but he has got the fastest lap. Verstappen has definitely benefited from this restart as he seems to be in P5 now. He was nowhere to be seen. The Red Bull machine not doing well these previous Grand Prix. Not too sure what's happened in the garage. Seems to be that there is other drivers competing in the places. I mean, he was ruling every race in P1 every single time, so no idea what's happened as Carlos Sainz is going to take another look, and he looks to try and go through. We're neck and neck, wheel to wheel, but we are through on Carlos Sainz. No, we're still wheel to wheel. Blimey, he's literally putting up some sort of a fight, and he looks to be in P1 momentarily, but through we go, and we are fighting with Sainz and the car as we hold our nerve. And we are through lap 18 of 25, coming to an end. Lap 19, we are commencing now. That was a little bit shaky, if I may say. I tell you, that was a bit nervy. I didn't know what was going to happen in that one. Lewis Hamilton now taking an overtake on Carlos Sainz as they go wheel to wheel, and he seems to get better of the Ferrari engine. Lewis Hamilton has had a really good Grand Prix, holding the fastest lap for quite a while, and he definitely seems to have the pace on the Mercedes, as now he is now 500th of a second just behind us. We have got a little bit of a healthy gap. We are good on that straight also, trying to maintain the overtake as much as possible just for that sector of the track. Obviously they're going to get DRS, so I'm trying to counteract that by using the overtake in small parts and the best parts that we can on this circuit. We're getting a good exit out of there, so we are getting a decent rhythm going. 800th of a second, 700th of a second. There's not much time gain, on that bit of straight. I mean, only about 100th of a second was actually gained on that point, as we do go slow through that corner. And as you can see now, Lewis Hamilton is making the most of that. He's going to look a little bit there. As you can see, the Mercedes engine poking out as he is now pretty much through, and we are now looking to try and see if we can get past Lewis Hamilton. And we have still got the line as we nearly lose it on that bit of the circuit, but we are through on Lewis Hamilton, and we have now got a battle with the Mercedes instead of the Ferrari. Carlos Sainz in P3 at the moment, nowhere near us, to be honest. I feel like it. Oh no, he is there actually. So he's still in this battle as we now try and kind of see these laps out. 21 laps we have done out of 25, and we are pretty much shot on the tyres as we've been pushing them more than we probably need to, in all honesty, to try and maintain this position. I feel like if I was in a different position, the tyres would probably have better grip because I'm not pushing as hard. But as you can see, I'm fighting with the car there, and Lewis Hamilton is right on us, literally breathing down our neck as we look to complete this lap. So we're going to be on to lap 22 and 25, and the laps are getting smaller of what nears to completion. The battle is well and truly on. God knows what is going to actually be the end result though, but we still look in a comfortable position as we are ticking away the laps, and we're just trying to do as much as possible, try and be consistent with our lap times and be consistent in this race and hold this position for as long as possible. I mean, the only one I feel like I need to worry about is Lewis Hamilton, but saying that, Max Verstappen is now P3 and Carlos Sainz is going down the pecking order. What a brilliant start from the Spaniard, and he actually maintained the pace for quite a long time, but unfortunately for him now, he is now in P4, not being able to get the better out of the medium tyre, as now Lewis Hamilton is going to take a look at us as we make a mistake, but through we go again. So we're just trying to eke out anything and gain as much time as possible in them sort of scenarios as we are slow through this bit of chicane. So we are holding him up. We seem to get a better exit than the Mercedes engine as we are now through, and this is going to be tough to be able to hold this, in all honesty. Lewis Hamilton, as I say, is breathing down our neck, and he is taking a look at any time that he can possibly get past us. Lucky for us, there's no DRS on this bit of the circuit, but he is going to take a look on the outside of the track as we go tight to the inside as possible, and we are through. As you can see though, Lewis Hamilton is so close to us. I mean, he's literally centimetres away. It is unbelievable how close he is, but we are going to gain some time on him though, so he has been slow through that bit of the track. Through we go now, 1 second, so he's not, I don't know if he's actually going to get DRS. We're going to try and go as fast as possible and try and get away from the Mercedes machine, because I don't think he's going to get DRS. And as you can see, we're on to lap 24 or 25. We're going on to the final lap, and it's 600th of a second. We're 1 lap away from completing this Grand Prix, the first to be able to win for JD Cook Motorsport. Unbelievable stuff, and we just got to hold our nerve. But again, we're slow on that corner, and the car is literally backing out on us. Through we go, late onto the brakes, and we're pushing Lewis Hamilton off as he gains some time on us. He is able to still stick with us, even though we gained that second gap, and it was nearly more than half a second before the actual last lap, sorry, as he looks to see if it can take a look and be able to try and get past us. But we are holding the line so well, and I don't think there is any point he will be able to kind of get past us. I think it's a little bit too late for the Brits, as we look to see now halfway through this circuit, and I'm pretty sure we're going to do it. I don't want to tempt fate. We could make a mistake and he could get through. It is anyone's race still, but Max Verstappen's probably not in it either though. It is between us and Lewis Hamilton, and he is there, he's definitely there, trying to make the car as big as possible through these corners, hoping I was driving a monster truck at the moment, honestly, because I just don't want him to get past whatsoever. I don't think there's any overtaking points here though, as we look to go past on these final corners, and we will be crowned the champion of the Hungarian Grand Prix as the checkered flag waves, and we wave our fist in celebration, and we did it. Unbelievable stuff, and the team celebrates, and it is so nice to see. It has taken us a little while, 12 races it has taken us to be in this position. I don't think it's going to last in terms of, and we're not going to do it every Grand Prix, don't get me wrong, but we're going to cherish the moment for what it is right now as we shake hands with Max Verstappen, and Lewis Hamilton slots behind us in P2 as we celebrate with our team for the first time this season. Obviously we've been in P3 as well, don't forget, so we have been the podium, but for the first time we are on the top step, and we are now limbering up to go and collect our trophy as we wave to the fans in celebration, geeing them up and making them even louder. And what a set of fans there have been for this Hungarian GP as we receive our trophy and we shake hands, and we are waiting now to burst the champagne and as they clap on. It has been unbelievable. I wasn't thinking I was going to say this, I didn't know this was going to happen in all honesty, but we shake the champagne champagne about, and we are the champion. We are the king of Hungary. We're not the champion of the world champion of anything like that, but we are the king of Hungary, and we walk away with the P1 position. Unbelievable stuff, so nice to see. And as we confirm that on the standings there, as you can see, we are now first time being in P1. I didn't think I'd say it. George Russell making the fastest lap, Hamilton, Verstappen, Sainz, Leclerc, Perez, Alonso, Russell, Norris and Valtteri Bottas making up the last point place. Felipe Massa getting nowhere near anyone, in all honesty, with the red flag. I mean, I think his actual strategy was hindered. He was on the harder set of tyres, so I think he might have come good later on in the race. You never know. And kind of with us not pitting and everything that did happen, it definitely worked out better for us. We've closed the gap on 6th position. Charles Leclerc looking a little bit vulnerable there. A little bit more points on the constructor standing also. And an unbelievable Grand Prix that is. I cannot wait for the next one in Belgium. So I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Please like and subscribe for more content just like this one. And don't forget to hit the notification button so you never miss a video. Cheers.